Yeah, so here it is, guys. Fire Mage. Really looking a lot better than the first time I reviewed this thing, but we are going to go into a full review on this spec, and it's turning out to be really, really damn good. A ton better than the first time I went over this thing. So guys, let's go ahead and jump in and we'll take a look at what the abilities are in the spellbook. Alright, so gonna take a look at the abilities in the spellbook here, guys, and as you can see, the spellbook's actually got a little bit of a change going on right now. I don't know if it's gonna stay this way or if this is just something that might have accidentally skipped through or happened during the beta, but again, this is on the Legion beta, and we're gonna go ahead and start. You still have Blink. Blink works basically the same, to where it can end up being stopped by the smallest obstacle, but it still works pretty good. Instant, 15 seconds, and this is, you know, basically your way of getting out of shit still. Combustion, huge changes, guys. It engulfs you in flames for 10 seconds, and it increases your crit strike chance by 100% and granting you mastery equal to your critical strike stat. This is a huge cooldown for the 10 seconds, and it does have a very interesting opener kind of play that you'll want to use to get this thing and maximize its damage out of it. And we'll go into that once we hit the gameplay. Conjure refreshments, basically you're still going to be able to drop your table and boom, and nothing really too exciting on that, guys. You just made food, that's it. And just so you can see, combustion, huge effect change also. It lights your ass on fire, really cool. Counterspell, still your interrupt, still probably one of the longer ones on 24-second cooldown, but it can lock them out for 6 seconds. I believe it's only 3 on live, but I could be wrong there. Dragon's Breath, it's here. It's made a nice little return. I think the first time around I did not see this on there. I could be wrong. 20-second cooldown, and it's still going to work the same. It does the cone of fire in front, doing a decent amount of fire damage, and it will also disorient the targets for 4 seconds. Awesome for stopping casts while your actual main interrupt is on cooldown. Fireball is one of your bread and butter spells, obviously, and it's going to be your main filler. You're going to just throw a fireball at him, doing some fire damage, guys. Flame Strike. Flame Strike has had a huge change. I mean, it's a little on the different side, guys. And what you're going to look at, instead of it being a casual deal like you remember before, to where it just puts powder, it's going to actually call down a huge deal of fire. As you can see, it works out really, really well. It looks cool as shit. But you're mainly going to be looking at using that thing on 5 or more ads. It's definitely going to be maybe 4 or more, depending on if you actually get this thing talented through your artifact. But we'll go over that gameplay also in a bit. Frost Nova, instant 30-second cooldown, works the same, guys. Does a little bit of frost damage and it freezes them in place. Ice Barrier, it's going to still work the same. The shield on this thing feels like it's a lot stronger than what it was. Then again, it may be the rework to the actual fire shield that you get, your Molten Barrier. We'll go over that too in a second. Ice Block, hey, it's there. I do have it talented, so it actually heals you for 3 seconds and gives it 3% per second that you're in there, and then it also ends up giving you an additional charge on it, so it is a 5-minute recharge now. It's painful with that 5-minute recharge also, especially if you accidentally pull too much, but with the heal added in and everything, that ends up helping with a good push and helps out your healers if you're on the verge of dying. Ice Flows, this is a talent, we'll go over that in a bit. Inferno Blast. This thing has had a huge change, guys. I know in my other video I talked about how this didn't end up feeling like it was working correctly because it doesn't spread dots anymore. But what's it going to do? Well, it's going to blast the enemy for fire damage. This damage will always be a critical strike, so you're always going to be getting that hot streak proc or pushing into your into your heating up, whichever one it's going into, which phase, and it plays well, but it's unaffected by the global cooldown and castable while casting now. This is going to go huge into the gameplay, and I will talk about that here in a few minutes also when we get into the gameplay. Invisibility, this works the same, guys. It's just going to, after 3 seconds, make you invisible and take you out of combat. Talent, your artifact ability, Phoenix Flames. This feels a little on the weird side. It's not bad. It's not bad. But it's got a... I'm not going to say clunky feel, but a weird priority setup. And basically it's instant. There's 3 charges, and it's a 30-second recharge per charge. But it hurls a Phoenix that does huge fire damage, and then splashes for about a third of that damage. So it's really not too bad, guys. It's a good spell, but it's got a niche opportunity to it, and we'll go over that a little bit more here in a bit. Polymorph, your sheep, works basically the same, guys. Works on beasts, humanoids, and critters, and it's just going to be your CC. Portals, currently only have Darnassus and Stormwind. Same thing with teleport over here, guys, except you also got your teleport to your actual mage class order hall. So, Pyroblast, another bread and butter piece, but you're only going to want to end up hitting this when it's on, when you've got your hot streak built up. Scorch, still have this guy. If you have a heavy movement fight, you can end up using this, and basically it just allows you to cast and do some damage while you move, but it does very little damage right now. Slow Fall works the same, just basically makes you or a targeted person end up falling slower for 30 seconds, so you don't end up dying. Remember this whenever you do your artifact quest, because those silly mages of Dalaran are going to want to kill you. Spell Steal. Steals a beneficial magic effect from the target. This effect lasts a maximum of 2 minutes. Works exactly the same as on live. Just steal whatever looks good. Time Warp, this is your heroism or bloodlust. Basically, it's going to increase your haste for members within 500,000 yards. They basically made it an unlimited, huge range, so you don't have to worry about someone being out of it. They don't want you to trick it by being 40 yards out and not getting the range or whatever it is. But it works the same, guys, and it ends up giving you like the sated debuff or whatever the hell it is for Alliance. And we're going to move on to our passives. Critical Mass multiplies the critical strike chance of your Fireball, Pyroblast, and Scorch by 1.3%. So it's working exactly the same as on live. What this is going to do is just, if you've got a chance to crit with it, this is going to give it a 1.3 times increased chance. That's basically it. Enhanced Pyrotechnics passive. Each time your Fireball falls or Fireball fails to critically strike a target, it gains a stacking 10% increased critical strike chance. Effect ends when Fireball critically strikes. This is a good piece to end up helping you get those Ignite procs, and I feel it's working a lot better than what it was. I think they only had it at 5% before, but this is playing out very nicely to end up helping if you've got a low crit. But you still don't want to aim for something other than crit. Crit is still going to be your baby to end up keeping this damage rolling, and that goes a lot into your hot streak. Hot Streak has had a little bit of a change, guys. It's passive. Getting 2 direct damage critical strikes in a row will make your next Pyroblast or Flame Strike spell instant cast and cause double the normal Ignite damage. It's huge on the Ignite side of it, guys. Crit Mastery is going to probably be a good guess for what your secondary stats are going to be. But Haste may be right there with Mastery for single target, as to where Mastery may be more for like cleave fights, because of the way Ignite works now. Ignite's got a little bit of a change. Your target burns for an additional 17.5% over 9 seconds of the total direct damage caused by your Fireball, Inferno Blast, Scorch, Pyroblast, and Flame Strike. If this effect is reapplied, any remaining damage will be added to the new Ignite. Every 2 seconds, though, your Ignite may spread to another nearby enemy. This is how your dot is going to spread now. It no longer spreads through Inferno Blast, but Ignite is going to just, every 2 seconds, skip over to someone else. It makes this to where playing a single target rotation, even in an AoE situation, is going to be pretty high on the priority, increasing that damage. And that's why I said Flame Strike only if you've got 4 to 5 mobs or more is that going to be beneficial, because Pyroblast builds way more on its actual Ignite damage than what Hot Streak does for 4 or less, really. And then you've got Molten Armor. It's passive, increases your spell critical strike chance by 15% and reduces all physical damage you take by 6%. It's no longer reduces the chance to be crit, but it reduces all physical damage, and I felt this as a huge difference while questing on this guy. It is a very, very top dog piece, and honestly, guys, if it stays this way, it's going to be... It made questing easy on a mage. It was nice. I didn't have to worry about getting two-shot by certain mobs. I actually can end up taking a few hits and then throw up Ice Barrier and, keep doing my rotation. It was really, really nice. But we're going to go from there, guys, and we are actually going to go into our talents. So let's go ahead and swap over. Alright, and here's our talents, guys. This is what I found to be the best single target spec. You do have other ways of specking for AoE, obviously. Like this one right here, Conflagration. We'll go over each one of these, and you will see it's blatantly obvious what is going to be for single target and what's going to be for AoE. I mean, it's basically in black and white. They don't try and hide what's going to be best. They're very, very open on it. And we'll go ahead and take a look, guys. So you've got Pyromaniac. Alright, passive, casting Pyroblast while Hot Streak is active has a 10% chance to instantly reactivate Hot Streak. So basically, you have a chance after you cast your instant cast Pyroblast to get another instant cast Pyroblast. The way this is playing, it just gives you an awesome chain roll of Pyroblast, but there is a certain way that you'll want to end up doing this to increase your chances of getting this. Conflagration passive. Enemies affected by Ignite have a 10% chance to flare up and deal 3,000 small fire damage to nearby enemies. This is going to be more of an AoE style deal. Firestarter passive. Your Fireball spell always deals critical strike when the target is above 90% health. This seems more PvP-ish, because that's a very short window. That's a 10% window on any PvE situation. That's going to help with an opener, but nothing else. So I don't know if this is just going to be like a PvP item where someone might be healed up or what's going on with it, but it doesn't fit the PvE scene too much. Level 30, you've got Shimmer. This replaces Blink. It's a 15-second recharge, down from a 20 on the actual Blink. And then it teleports you 20 yards forward. Unless something is in the way, obviously, like a wall. Unaffected by the global cooldown and castable while casting. So if you need to just move forward out of something, like while you're in the middle of a cast, this thing could be nice. Cauterize, passive, fatal damage instead brings you to 35% health, and then you burn for 28% of your health over that time. But they also added the Burning Rush deal in there, or whatever that speed boost was. And basically, no movement slowing effects will end up hitting you, and your speed's increased to 150%. It can't occur more than every 2 minutes. So this is looking like, yet again, another PvP style talent where you get that killing blow or something, and you can ice block right away, get rid of the stuff, and call it good. Alright, we got it. Cold Snap, though, felt like the best viable deal to where I had control over whether I was going to live or die. And its passive Ice Block now has 2 charges and also heals you for 3% of your maximum health every 1 second. So while Ice Block is up, it lasts for 10 seconds, you will heal for 30% of your health during that time. Level 45, Mirror Images. It's a 2-minute cooldown, creates 3 copies, and hits like a truck, guys. It lasts for 40 seconds, and it seems like the damage on this thing is pretty damn high in comparison. So it gives you that good burst window. And honestly, you're going to have it up a ton. I mean, basically, if you use it off cooldown, it's like, what, 20% of your uptime? So, I mean, it'll be really nice. Rune of Power, this thing feels weird. I don't care for it. It's too short of a window, at least for this spec and the long cast times. This will help for, like, your opener rotation, which can be pretty quick. But it places a rune up on the ground. It's got a 1.32 second cast also. 45 second recharge. But put this rune on the ground for 10 seconds, which increases your spell damage by 50% while you stand within 8 yards. So it's going to put the same target on the ground, and it's such a short window on a fairly decent cast time that I didn't even test it, guys, to be honest with you. I didn't test it. It might help on the initial burst window, but I don't see it working that well, and Mirror Images just hits like a truck. Enchantress Flow, passive. Magical energy flows through you while in combat, building up to 20% increased damage, and then diminishing down to 4% increased damage, cycling every 10 seconds. Works exactly the same as on live. This is just if you don't want to worry about anything and let RNG be the factor, then you can use this. Works good if you get the procs at the right time. Nothing bad on it. So level 60, you've got Blast Wave. Again, this is more of a PvP AoE kind of item, but it causes an explosion around. It is an instant cast, by the way, 25 second cooldown. Cause an explosion around the target enemy, dealing 20,000 fire damage to all enemies within 8 yards, and reducing movement speed by 70% for 4 seconds. A primary enemy target will take 100% increased damage, so it'll take 40,000. So, it's good. It's good damage in all aspects, really. And, I mean, it's not bad, but it couldn't beat Controlled Burn, which I'll get to in a minute. Then you have Flame On. Flame On, if you're having trouble with procs, this seems like the way to go, or, again, maybe PvP. But I had no issues with only having the 2 Infernal Blast charges that I had. And again, I'll go over the gameplay itself, but it's instant 30-second cooldown, immediately grants 2 charges of Infernal Blast. So if everything's on cooldown, this is going, Infernal Blast wise, this is going to reset it. And then you've got Controlled Burn. It's passive. When you gain heating up, you have a 10% chance to instantly activate Hot Streak. Believe it or not, this thing works really well, and again, when I get to the gameplay and I start talking about how the rotation works, you'll see exactly what's going on with this thing. 75 Ice Flows, I did take this because movement is a huge deal, but it's instant, 20-second recharge, makes your next mage spell castable while moving, unaffected by the global cooldown, and castable while casting. Maximum of 3 charges. So you've got 3 charges on this with 20-second recharge. And basically this makes casting on the move stupid easy. As long as you learn how to end up playing with this thing. Ring of Frost. This is going to work just like it does in live, guys. You throw it down and it lasts for 10 seconds at the target locations. If they enter it, they're incapacitated. If enemies enter it, they're incapacitated for 10 seconds. Limit 10 targets. There's way too much T's in that damn thing. But it works the same as on live. 1.76 second cast time, guys, and a 45 second cooldown. So, Ice Ward. Frost Nova now has 2 charges. Okay, yeah, whatever. As you can tell, I didn't care. Both of these are more of a... This is like if it's mainly used in PvP, like big BGs to kind of lock targets down. And then this is also going to be, in my opinion, more of a PvP deal for locking things down. 90 living bomb, instant. A little bit of a rework on this thing, guys. So the cooldown's reduced by haste also. Just so you know, the cooldown is reduced by haste. You can always tell by that new green numbering. But they take an okay amount of fire damage over 10.5 seconds. And they explode, dealing almost 8,000 fire damage to them and all the targets around them for within 10 yards. Other enemies hit by this explosion, though, also become a living bomb, but this effect cannot spread further. So, if these mobs are going to live longer than 20 seconds, you're going to do a huge amount of damage to them. Really huge amount of damage, because you get that first initial explosion and then you get all the other explosions. Now the thing is, if the target dies, I've noticed that this is also blowing up, so you can end up getting this on a low health target and it's going to blow up, and then as the other targets die, it blows up also, instead of just expiring and fizzling out. Played really well for clearing trash. I don't know if it's the best for single target, but it seemed to do alright. But none of these were really 100%. And then you've got Unstable Magic. It's passive. Fireball has a 30% chance to explode on impact, dealing 50% additional damage to the target and all other enemies within 8 yards. Living Bomb at least gave me something else to do. This is kind of okay. Whatever. Flame Patch. 100% AoE. It's passive. Flame Strike leaves behind a patch of flames, which burns enemies within it for X amount of damage over 8 seconds. So if you do need a clean house and you need to kill a lot of ads quick, you're definitely going to want to use this because of the additional extra damage on Flame Strike. But other than that, it's a test. I mean, it really, do you want this additional AoE over this AoE? Sure, if you need them to die faster, if you need more burst, this is going to be the way to go. This is the more longevity style. And then at level 100, you've got Kindling. It's passive. Your Fireball, Pyroblast, and Infernal Blast critical strikes reduce the remaining cooldown on combustion by 1 second. You're critting a lot anyways, guys. If you're building that crit, and this is getting that combustion to where you've got 100% crit, and then all that extra mastery is just huge on that cooldown. It does make it to where it no longer lines up with like mirror images, which is on a 2-minute, but hey, who gives a shit? That extra damage is extra damage. Then you've got Cinderstorm. I didn't care for this. It throws a spread of 6 cinders that travel in an arc, dealing low fire damage to enemies. It hits damages increased if it hits. Damage is increased by 30% if the target is affected by your ignite. So it does good damage, and it does 6 of these cinders. But I'm not sure if this is going to be the top, with this being 1.32 second cast. It's definitely going to take some working and, a little more numbers tuning to find out where it goes. And then you've got Meteor. Meteor works the same as on live, guys. It's going to do X amount of fire damage split evenly between all targets within the 8-yard targeting reticle that you put down. And then it'll burn the ground, dealing more fire damage over 8 seconds to all the targets in the area. This may also be, it's definitely a lot more burst damage single target, so I don't know what would be there, but I did go with Kindling because combustion, that period is just a huge amount of damage, guys. So with that, we are going to move on to the actual artifact ability and see what's going on with it. Alright, so here it is, Fellow Malorn, guys. This is your artifact. And it's decent looking sword. It's a spell blade. It's not bad. We'll take a look at a couple of the other skins here in just a second, as soon as it rolls around. But as for Fellow Malorn, it's got some decent looks to it. There are better artifacts out there, but it's not bad. And I can see a lot of transmogs that work really well with it, but the PvP ones look really nice. But as for the skins, guys, I'm not going to spend too much time on that. There's most of them are set, but I know that they're still doing some work with them. But let's go on to what we're really here for, and that's going to be the traits. So what you see is what you get, basically, and all in all, it looks good, guys. It really does. You have your main ability, which is Phoenix Flames, that you get from it, and it hurls a phoenix that causes the fire damage to the target and then splashes additional to nearby enemies. So it's good on both single target and AoE, because this thing hits like a truck single target. First ability out, those Wings of Flames, and increases fire damage you deal by 5%. That is an awesome overall, and we'll go ahead and sneak around the back here. Great Balls of Fire, stacks to 3 times, damage dealt by Fireball by 15%. When it's capped out, it's 5, 10, or 15. So this is gonna be a huge one, because Fireball does do a good portion of your ignite damage. Big Mouth, 0 of 1. Increase the range of Dragon's Breath by 3 yards. Okay. Ever Burning Consumption, 0 of 3. Increase damage dealt by Ignite by 3%, 6%, or 9%. This is going to look really nice because Ignite is literally one of your top damages, and we'll go over that too. Phoenix Reborn, first golden dragon one here, guys, and targets affected by your Ignite have the chance to erupt in flame, taking X amount of additional damage and reducing the remaining cooldown on Phoenix's flame by 5 seconds. So basically, if you end up getting this to do it 6 times, you end up getting more of your Phoenix, which honestly, it's a good thing because it does hit so hard, but it does kind of throw your rotations off. But we'll go over that in the actual gameplay. Scorched Earth, rank 0-1. Casting Scorch 6 consecutive times triggers Hot Streak. So basically, if you've got a lot of movement and you're able to cast Scorch 6 times to get that Hot Streak, you're going to be alright. This seems more PvP than anything. Like, if you've got to constantly run and someone's not focusing you, or I really don't see someone wanting to use Scorch 6 consecutive times unless they're running on a conveyor belt or something, which is still, it's a loss of damage. Blue Flame Special, this is lit up due to my relic that I've got up here. So what it's going to do though is it's normally 0 of 3, guys, and it increases damage dealt by Flame Strike by 5, 10, and 15% normally. Now that I've got this extra one in here, it'll actually build an additional 5%. So, just a pretty decent little piece. Cauterizing Blink. Activating Blink heals you for 18% of your maximum health over 6 seconds. This is actually going to increase 3 times also. So you're going to have 18, 36, and then what? Hold on. It's a little early still. 54? Yeah, 54. Yeah. We'll go with 54%. You can quote me or tell me if I'm wrong on that one later. But activating Blink's going to end up doing some good healing to you, and it's a nice deal. Reignition Overdrive, 0 of 3. Increased damage dealt by Infernal Blast by 8%, 16%, and 24%. Decent. And then we've got Aftershocks down here, which Flame Strike calls down 1 additional pillar of fire each time it's cast. So when you cast it and you see that big pillar of flame come down, it's just going to have another one come down right behind it for extra burst AoE damage. Pyretic Incantations, the next gold star that we've got here, or gold dragon. Each consecutive critical strike you deal increases critical strike damage you deal by 5%. This could be huge damage if you've got enough crit to keep it going. Normally, rule of averages though, only expect 2 to 3 crits in a row before you end up breaking that, unless you've got some sort of magical reaction going on, guys. But that's a good rule of average there, that you're, even with the extremely high amounts, you're not going to get more than maybe 4 in a row. So something to think of. Pyroclasmic Paranoia, 0 of 3. So increases damage dealt by Pyroblast by 3, 6, and 9%. This is going to be huge on your damage. Just remember that, guy. We'll grab this one real quick also. Molten Skin. Molten Armor reduces all physical damage you take by an additional 3%. This is going to be awesome for questing or stuff like that. That way, as mobs try and hit you, you just don't take any damage, period. Fire at Will. Rank 0 of 3, reduces the cast time of Fireball by 3%, 3, 6, and 9%. That's amazing, because that's just helps you out with your fishing. Blast Furnace 0 of 1, your last gold star that we've got on here. Inferno Blast deals an additional 6,000 fire damage over 9 seconds. Doesn't seem like a lot, guys, but it's basically doing close to a little more than half of what Fire Blast does, or Inferno Blast does in damage currently. And this is a pretty decent dot, and if you're playing the rotation right, this will probably end up completely ticking off, and then you'll end up putting it right back on. And then we've got Burning Gaze. Increase the fire critical damage you deal by 1%, 2%, or 3%, depending on how far you spec. So this is going to be the artifact, guys. You do have your fire slot, relic slot, and then you've got your arcane relic slot, and then you've got another one that's locked, but you got to complete the Mage Order Hall campaign to unlock the third relic slot. But with that, we're actually going to move on to what everybody wants to see, and that's going to be the gameplay and how the rotation feels. Alright guys, so for main core abilities that you've got your Artifact ability, which is the Phoenix Flames, you've got your Fireball, you've got your Infernal Blast, Pyroblast, and then Flame Strike. How are these things going to play together in this rotation? Mainly you're looking at getting your Heating Up and your Hot Streak procs, which Hot Streak is going to be that instant cast Pyroblast. So where are you going with this? Alright. You're going to want to start off by getting that first Heating Up, and you can do that one of two ways. You can either do it by casting Fireball, hard casting Fireball, or you can do it by using your Phoenix Flames. With using your Phoenix, it's instant cast, it's a good fishing piece, but at the same time, if you're going into a boss fight, you're going to want all three charges ready, and I'll talk about that in a minute. So, let's say you're just hard casting your Fireball, you get your first Heating Up. That Heating Up, you're going to want to start casting another Fireball, but instead of waiting till that Fireball is completely casted, you can actually use Inferno Blast to proc Hot Streak and get that instant cast Pyroblast. So when Fireball is ready to cast and it's casted out there, you can hit this and do your double fish like you would normally on live. It helps out quite a bit, and it'll do one of two things, or one of three things actually, but usually it'll either give you another Heating Up proc, or it'll give you another Hot Streak proc, depending on if both of them are critting, if one of them ends up critting, but it counts them in the same, so you get a better chance when you do this, or you may not get anything at all, and then you're going to be back into the fishing phase. But most of the time it felt like this would actually play well together. So what would you do when you first start on the boss? Alright, so starting with the boss, you're going to want to open up with, for me it was Mirror Images, Combustion, and then Time Warp if it was available, just to get your buffs out of the way. Now, obviously Combustion, you're going to want to use that last out of all of them because it is such a short window. So, basically, Opener, Time Warp, Mirror Images, Combustion, then you want to throw out your Phoenix Flames. Do this twice, you'll get an automatic Hot Streak because you've got 100% crit. Use your Hot Streak, hit the Phoenix Flames, you'll have another Hot Streak, hit it yet again, and then use Infernal Blast, Hot Streak. You can basically end up getting a ton of damage built in this one little period on your opener. And then you're going to go into, okay, if you don't have any of your buffs up, you don't have a Hot Streak, you don't have a Heating Up, you're going to want to go into your Fireball rotation, which is basically fishing for your Fireball until you get Heating Up. When you get Heating Up, you're going to want to end up using Fireball again. Now it sounds a little funny, but you want to pre-cast this Fireball because Infernal Blast you can use while it is casting. So you've got Heating Up, cast Fireball, hit Infernal Blast, and then you'll be able to use Pyroblast once it is done casting. You can see how I'm playing with this. I know I wasn't 100% on it because it is kind of a tough thing to continue learning, but once you get this mastered, it's going to do some insane damage. Let's say you get a proc and you actually get a full hot streak. Well, you're still going to want to end up throwing Fireball first, wait till it's almost complete, till it's casted, and cast Pyroblast along with it, because this is going to keep the train rolling, basically. Really solid damage. In AoE situations, guys, 1, 2, let's go ahead and say 3 targets, single target. 4+, you're probably going to want to swap Pyroblast, your hot streak procs with Pyroblast for Flame Strike, just to get that additional AoE damage out, as long as they're going to live and take the additional Ignite damage. If not, it's kind of a fishing game at that point, guys, but the single target Pyroblast does a lot of Ignite damage, and it will spread, and it spreads fairly decently to 3 to 4 targets roughly. So you've got a kind of a limit bridge in how you're going to decide how to play this. But single target, this thing is rocking. AoE, it does pretty damn good also. It's not as strong as Unlive because Infernal Blast doesn't automatically spread Ignite and everything to everybody, but it plays very well. And then I did take Living Bomb, which is not so strong on single target, but in AoE situations, when it blows up or the target dies with it on, it seems to blow up also now. It spreads to everything around it, and then each one of those can blow up also and cause some really insane damage in a longer AoE fight. A short-term one, there's other options, obviously, like we talked about in the talents. But guys, this thing is playing extremely well, and we are going to move on to take a look at exactly where the damage is coming from. So I hope you enjoy, and let's go take a look. Alright, so here it is, guys. This is where you're going to be getting your damage from. Just to give you a general, and this is going to be Oakheart, was the boss that we ended up doing out of the Dark Heart Thicket. And Ignite is your top damage. In most gameplay choices, it's going to be your top damage. As you progress and get more mastery, it's only going to make it even higher. Pyroblast, very close into second. And again, if you're fishing for your hot streaks correctly with your and keeping everything up, this is going to definitely keep you higher on the list. Fireball, as you can see, huge drop down from there, guys. This Fireball is actually from the mirror images, and if this fight would have gone another 20 seconds, this would probably be closer to this number right here, just because we're about at a minute 50 already, and then at 2 minutes it would have reset and we would have been able to fire it off yet again and just increase that damage. So you're looking at almost, because of the 2-minute factor, you're looking at almost a 13% of your actual damage. They seem to be hitting extremely hard right now. Phoenix Flames, again, they hit really hard, but it's a gameplay choice on these guys. How's it gonna hit? Is it gonna crit? So on and so forth. And are you using it in the correct combustion rotation to keep that damage up? Infernal Blast, it's not there for damage, it's there for the procs. Living Bomb, as you can see, not a whole hell of a lot on a single target fight, and then this is just a trinket, guys. So just a general look so you can see exactly what's what. Damage wise, Phoenix Flames, it does a lot of damage when you have them available, but when they only recharge every 30 seconds, you're looking at burst windows kind of like this one. Again, guys, I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, go ahead and throw it a like and subscribe, and I will definitely try and get you some of the best content available. And if you do have any suggestions or questions or anything like that, don't be scared to ask. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.